I did some trading around, and we ended up with another big block, another 454. I believe these are peanut heads, but I think the guy told me this was a running engine, but it's pretty crusty. Got a bunch of junk laying in it, so I don't think this engine's ran in a while. So if I remember right, I think I got another set of heads that had water damage that were I don't know the different head sizes on these engines. I'm not real big on the 454s, but I believe they got a bigger intake port, and we'll check them out later. We may end up using these heads, we may not, but he said this came out of a truck, but I think this one could have possible bearing damage, or I guess if you let the plugs out of it for a while, it might have some rust on the cylinder walls. That may be the stiffness I'm feeling when I'm rolling this thing over. So we're gonna take it apart and look at it, see if we can figure out what's going on with it. We got some extra parts with it. We got a small little Edelbrock carb that we won't use on probably anything. Another distributor, I think he said it's missing a coil. And we got that thing. I haven't seen one of those in a while. This one looks pretty old. I think it's just been sitting on a shelf forever. I don't really think that was on that engine. And it looks like it's got some mud or something built up in there. Don't know if the threads are any good, but don't know if we'll be using that. Maybe not. Still might have to order an intake for this thing. I ain't got too much more I can add to this. I'm gonna start tearing it apart. Probably not gonna show you guys every single little detail on pulling it apart, because I've done it in the past few videos. I think I'm just gonna start tearing it apart, and I'll show you what some things look like once we get some parts off of it. So, guess with that being said, we'll come back to this. All right, got the crank balancer off, and it fought every bit of the way. Just pulled the heads off, and now you guys get to see what I see. A lot of carbon buildup. I think a lot of this loose carbon the guy was cleaning, and he must have just gotten it down in the engine. I don't think there's any way it was running like this. Not that it couldn't, just don't see any real bad damages on the cylinder walls. Still see a lot of cross hatching in there. Really, this thing looks pretty good. Might just need to clean it and send her down the road. I still got to pull this bottom part of the engine apart and check the bearings. But you can see a piece of a wire wheel there. You got that stuff everywhere. And as you can see, there's a broken lifter there, came apart. Oh, that's not a wire wheel, that's part of the lifter retainer clip. Looks like almost these ones directly across from each other are broke. I don't know how that is, but things happen. Cam really doesn't look too bad, but we're not going to know too much until we get it out of there. We do have another big block cam. Don't know what shape it's in, I can't remember. But I'm going to flip this thing over and finish pulling it apart and bring you back on that. Alright. Okay, we got this thing stripped down now. Well, stripped down far enough to see things. I still got to take the caps off and take a look at it. Our chain's pretty wore out. So, I think that's a factory chain. To me, it looks like somebody did a really cheap rebuild on this thing. I don't know if it was a shop or just some guy at his house. Chain's pretty sloppy. That one, it's kind of really hard to see. I don't know if I can get this thing to focus here. You can see it says number 1 on, number 7 on the rod. And the top one you really can't see anything other than the new markings. It says 1, and someone tried to stamp over the 7 as a 1. And they're all like that. And just see a lot of things in here I don't like the bottom of that cap. She has definitely smacked something, or somebody had a bent cap and tried to fix it just to get by. But even this too, you can see that is stamped 1 and somebody stamped a number 5 over it. Actually both the cap and the rod say 1 with a 5 over it. I really don't know if this thing would be okay to run. If I turn it over by hand, it's got quite a bit of drag on it. It takes a little bit to get it spun over, but once it spins freely. And then of course when it comes to stop it, it sticks. So I don't know if all these caps and the rods are mixed up, which would be a bad thing. There's just a lot of little things I see that don't look so good. A lot of nicks here and there. I would say this would be a very iffy motor. This thing may fire up and run just fine. I think I'm going to pull each cap off, check them, check the main bearings, make sure nothing looks like it spun or anything goofy going on, no bad scarring. All that looks good. We'll start cleaning this block up, get it painted, and we got to get a timing chain for it. The timing cover's kind of hinky. So someone's pried it off a few times and really bent it up. Same for the oil pan, but probably going to need a different oil pan anyway since we're putting it in a car. It's got a truck pan on it. Not sure what year this block is. Gonna need a new harmonic balancer. Rubber's starting to come off around it, and the bolt holes are one stripped out and the other ones are just packed with crap. I can't think of too much more to say about this. I don't know a whole lot about it. I forgot to show you guys the heads. The bottom of these heads actually look pretty darn good. I probably wouldn't mind running them, other than it's just a small intake head. I'm going to pull my other heads out, and we'll take a look at that soon. See if we can use them. If not, we'll pull the valves out of this, clean them up, and shove it back together. Even though the lifter's pulled out really nice. I've never had any just come out, so I'd say this engine probably wasn't ran too long like this, which kind of scares me. I'm thinking still could be some bearing damage in there, so I'm not sure I'm going to get to that today. I just wanted to add, this is a 30 overblock. Not a bad gig. We'll just have to check them bearings, so we'll come back.